going through that door. The fire is spreading faster than I thought. Tillis, be careful.
I'm here to save you. Hold on!
Hi there, back again with another episode. This time I want to go over how to use the Ultimate Switch hack script for converting your Sega Saturn ISO into a usable and installable Nintendo Switch NSP file. So the first thing we got to do is head over here to GitHub. I'll have links to everything below. And also I just want to mention that all of this is thanks to the very, very intelligent people in the community, and especially over on GBA temp. I'll have links to all of the threads and all of the information down below. So with that said, let's get into the video. First thing we want to do, let's go ahead and download this. I'm going to go ahead and save it to my C drive temp. Save that right there. Okay, and let's go to C drive temp. So we want to go ahead and unzip this. Just extract it right there. So something about this hack script is you don't want to keep it too deep in your file structure. What that means is you want to get it as close to your base C drive as possible, not right on the C drive. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and also rename it to just straight up Ultimate. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and copy or cut it, not even copy, and paste it right here on the C drive. There were some problems with earlier versions if the file names or folder names are too long, so just to make sure, I'm going to go ahead and leave it as is, like as short as possible. So now that we have that done, let's go ahead and open this up. Run as administrator. Always want to run as administrator. Oh, open up over here. Okay, so we have two options. Of course, I speak English, you go with English too. All right. So we need to check. Before continuing, verify all the settings are correct. Okay, continue. So we want to update this. Always do the update. So we're going to do Y for yes. And it's going to go ahead and do its thing and update. We'll just give this a minute. Okay, and press any key. Oh, it went ahead and restarted. I'm going to go with dark theme. This seems to get updated fairly regularly because every time there's new options. This didn't exist last time I used it a couple weeks ago. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and hit update one more time. It shouldn't have to update anything. It should just be all done. Okay, good. Now another thing that we want to do before we continue here. Right click it, go to properties, and we need to change the font to here. Lucida Console. Do that. Now, let's make our choice with full log 2. Okay, now that we have that done, actually what I'm going to go ahead and do is exit out, because I want to make sure everything is all nice and saved, and I also need to copy a couple of my files over. So I'm going to go over here. I am going to copy the Cotton 2, my template, and also Super Tempo, which is the file I'm going to be converting. Copy them, and I'm going to go ahead and paste them right here into Ultimate. And also Super Tempo, I'm going to make that a shorter folder name. I'm just going to call it Tempo. So we go in here, perfect. So it's really important that your ISO files or CD image files are in bin and Q format. They actually have to be for this to work. If it's just an ISO, like .iso, it's not going to work. And also there is an album art here, but I'm not sure if that's going to work. It's the one that came with it, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to go ahead. I have a nice template here, which is cut to the perfect size. I'm going to paste that into Tempo. Open this up. But I want to edit it, so I'm going to go ahead and open it. Just simple. Microsoft Paint always does the job. It's actually a really good utility. I think most people know that. I'm going to go ahead and edit this. Okay, so something we have to do first. Let's go ahead and resize. I need to check the pixel size. 1411, 1412. So I'm going to go ahead and resize this. pixel size. 1411. Okay, and 1412. Let's just leave it at 11. This should be okay. All right, now that we have that done, I'm going to go ahead and size that down just a little bit. We want to select. I'm going to go ahead and just select. Okay, now that we have that, so let's go ahead and do, does select all work? Select all. Perfect. Okay, copy. Now we can go over here to the template. Just gonna make that a little smaller and paste. Perfect. Okay, it's the exact same size, and we can go ahead and file, save as, because I don't want to mess up my template. Oh, why does it go here? I really wish it just went to the same folder. Tempo. All right. I'm going to name this tempo2.png. Okay. Yes, I do want to save that. All right. So remember, tempo2.png is the one that we're going to use. And don't save. Don't need to save anything else. We'll check, opens, and this should be perfectly fine when we do our injection. If you don't have the correct icon, it's not a problem. The injection will still work. Everything's going to be fine. The game will be playable, but it won't have the correct icon on your Switch menu. It'll have just a generic icon. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the hack script again. This is ultimate switch hack script.bat. So let's go ahead and run as administrator. And clicking yes. And drag it over from my main screen. Yes. Just in case, let's do an update. And is it still on Lucida console? We will check in a sec. Let's go ahead, properties. The creator of this mentioned that it has to be on Lucida console or else it could fail. So that's interesting, but I just follow his instructions. 2. Now, what we want to do here, I believe it's number 6. Let's go up. Okay. Other function, 6. So let's go ahead. We're going to enter number 6. Enter. All right, now we are looking for 16. Inject a Sega Saturn ROM beta function, but it works all the time. 16. Okay, now that we have that done, I'm going to go ahead and open up my handy dandy Excel file. Here we are, Sega Saturn Tribute. Okay. Here we are. So now there's a nice Google Doc that has all the games for Sega Saturn that are tested. So we can see the legend here. Playable, 315 green. Partially, 60. Unplayable, 38. So things like Alone in the Dark are unplayable. Let's do a quick Control F and go for tempo. And there we are. Super tempo, green, working. So this shouldn't have any problem. Also, some ROMs will need a special separate config file. Tempo doesn't. Click here, tempo again. Tempo, no config file. But if we go down to Virtua Fighter, I believe Virtua Fighter 2, to get it to work, you have to download a separate config file and use it during the injection process. I'll show you that as we're going along, but when we're doing it for tempo, we're just going to hit no. Alright, so we're good here. We know it works. Sometimes they do work. They're just untested. In the script here, the white ones mean untested, like no one's tested them yet. So you can feel free to go ahead and test them. Okay, got this. I'm going to go ahead and do you want to launch the installation? Yes. Why? Yes, we do. So this is going to go ahead and install all the necessary files that we need to run the Saturn injection script. By default, not everything's installed with the hack script. So we're going to let this do its thing. I don't believe it takes too long. Just give it a minute. Okay, and now that that's done installing the Saturn injection script, go ahead and hit enter. Okay, now we have this menu here. I'm going to go, we have the 2 options, display help, start injection. So we want to do start injection. Hit 2. Now, it's going to ask you for an NSP file from your Nintendo Switch. I don't care how you get these, but you need one of these. Either cotton2.nsp, guardianforce.nsp, or cottonboomerang.nsp. because it's using the emulator that is built into one of these 3 games to inject your Sega Saturn ISO into and build the ROM around that, or build the NSP around that. So I have the Cotton 2, which seems to be the recommended one, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's hit any key to continue. Oh, it opened up a little window here. It wants me to select one of those ROMs. So again, we can choose. I'm going to go with Cotton 2 and then hit OK. And it's going to do its thing where it extracts necessary files from here. Enter, enter. Oh, okay. And sometimes it does this where it asks you in French, selection du fichier, Q. So here it's asking for your file, Q file, Q file. So I'm going to go ahead and tempo. Q. Okay, let's go ahead. Take that. All right, and alrighty. prod.keys. Oh, so it still needs that. Okay, I heard you did that. It didn't need that anymore, but I apparently was mistaken. I'll go over this. I have my old version of this with my prod.keys. Where am I? Keys, EMU, MMC. Yeah, I guess I'll just use this. Okay, copy. Paste. Okay. This is a bit of a tricky thing. So I dumped my keys from my custom firmware, EMU, MMC, Nintendo Switch. First thing that you have to do, this Cotton 2 NSP, right here. You have to take this, before you do any of this hack script, you have to go ahead and install this on your Switch. And then after that's done, you go ahead and you dump your system keys. So I'm going to go ahead and go over how you do that. Now I'm going to show you how you go about getting your prod.keys file. So I'm going to go over here and I want to reboot into Hecate. Yeah, minus button, reboot to payload. Okay, now in my payloads folder on my SD card, I already copied over lockpick.rcm. So I'm going to go ahead and load that up. You can just use your RCM injector or your computer or Android phone to push over the payload, but I like to use Hecate. I just have everything over here. It's nice and convenient. Lockpick.rcm, and here we are greeted with some options. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. Okay, here we have dump keys from sysnand, dump keys from EMU NAND. So the way you select with these is the plus and minus button. Well, not plus and minus. Volume up, volume down, and then power button to confirm. So I have Cotton 2 installed on my EMU NAND, EMU MMC. So I want to dump my keys from EMU MMC because that is where Cotton 2 is installed. So I'm going to go ahead and hit power. And I believe that's it. Okay, is it done? Everything good? Seems good. Okay, I just pressed any button to go back. And now I want to go back to Hecate. So I can reboot to Hecate. Do that. And I'm just gonna reboot back into my custom firmware. Fusey.bin. One real quick thing. After you dump your keys, they're going to show up on your Switch's SD card in the actual Switch folder. So inside there, you're going to have 3 key files, but for the Saturn injection script, you really only need to have the prod.keys. Now I have my keys, and we're going to continue with the process. So now that it's asking for my keys info, go back to Ultimate, Keys, prod.keys is what it wants. Open up. Okay, we're going to go back here. So, do you want to choose your own icon file? So remember we created that icon a little bit earlier? Go ahead and click yes. And this is going to let you select the actual icon for the game which displays on your Switch. And tempo2.png is the one that I made. Okay, now this is that ini file that, say, if you're doing Virtua Fighter, you have to download this ini file, and this is the point where you would click yes. Or, sorry, do you want to use a generic ini? No, we don't. Well, we do for this. If it was Virtua Fighter 2, you would click no, and then you would get a pop-up menu, and you get to choose your custom ini file. If you didn't do that, either the game won't run, or it's going to have several errors. But we just want to use the generic ini file that comes with this hack script. So I'm going to go ahead and click yes. Now, it asks, do you want to use the 4 megabyte RAM cart? That was an expansion cart for the Sega Saturn. Some games can use it, most notably the versus Street Fighter games are ones that really need it. They're great on Saturn, some of the best versions. But Tempo is a really small game, it does not need it. So, something also to note, save states will not work if you use the RAM extension, which for me isn't that big of a deal. So the question is, do you want to use the 4 megabyte RAM extension? No. And I do not. Widescreen choice. You enable widescreen. I don't want to enable widescreen because it just stretches it. So no thank you. Nope. Do you want to enable widescreen? So I'm just double checking. Nope. Okay. Wallpaper. Do you want to use generic wallpapers? Yes. Do you want to use generic credits? Yes. Do you want to use generic player's guide? Yes. Do you want to use generic texture file? Yes. Do you want to choose your own no data text? No, I don't. I'll just keep everything default. Okay, now it's asking you for an ID. At this point, just hit enter and let it do a default. Okay, now enter the game name to be displayed on your Nintendo Switch. So we're going to go ahead and name this Super Tempo Saturn Tribute. Super Tempo Saturn Tribute. And now we want to put in the author. I wonder, what is the author for Tempo? I'm actually not sure. Does it say on here? MQ Media Quest. Okay, Media Quest it is. So you can write whatever you want on here. I'm just gonna put Media Quest. Credit where credit's due. Now the game version. I'm just gonna name this one hacks, so I know it's the first version of it, just in case I have any errors and I have to do it again later. Alright, default size. We don't want to touch anything for this, just hit enter to leave it the default. Alright, and now it is asking where I want to install that. Just a moment, I'm clicking through some menus. Okay, so I have it on C drive here, Ultimate, and I'm just gonna leave it there right in the default Ultimate and hit OK. Now, all the settings above, it's double checking now. Are you sure you're okay with all these settings that you said yes to and no to? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm gonna go ahead and hit yes, and it is doing its thing. So the first part of this is it's extracting the source Cotton2 NSP. That's going to take a little while, only on the first time. After that, it doesn't have to do it. It saves the files on your hard drive. So we're going to go ahead and let it do its thing, and hopefully it won't take too long. Super Tempo is not a really long game, or not a really big file. It's only like 30 megabytes. Probably could have fit on a cartridge of some kind. Okay, and we're done. So you can see here, enjoy your game. You can now install your Ultimate game. So I'm just waiting a sec. Let's go back to my Ultimate. Super Tempo Saturn Tribute .nsp. There we are. So we just copy this over to our Switch and install it. I'm going to go ahead and use DBI to do that in a little bit. Just a quick thing. Scroll up here, up. All these errors, failed to match key. You can go ahead and ignore those. They're fine. It's not a problem. Not a problem at all. Don't worry about it if you see that. Okay, enter, and we're back to the main menu. So if we wanted to do another injection, we can do that. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and hit exit. Oh, exit, not exit. Exit again. You have to hit it a couple times to get, because it goes back to the previous menu when you click exit. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and also rename this to something a little bit shorter. Let's just do it. supertempo.nsp. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my Nintendo Switch, and I'll be right back. Now that we have the Switch connected to our computer via USB and DVI loaded up, I can go ahead, open up Switch, and where is that? Micro SD install. Here we are. So this one, just double check that. Okay. Micro SD install. Place NSP, NSZ, XCI, or XCZ file here to install. So all you have to do to install this, just drag it over. Let it go. Super tempo copying. And I can see it installing on my Switch. Wish I could share screen from that, but, well, it's plugged in by a USB like this. There's no way that I know of to share screen other than pointing a camera at it. And since it's such a small file, we can see right there, it came up to be 158 megabytes. So that's pretty small these days. Back when this came out, that would have been huge, but not now. Okay, now that we have that done, I'm going to go ahead and hop over to the Nintendo Switch, and we're going to test out the game. And we're back. So I have some bad news. Even though this handy-dandy Saturn Tribute compatibility guide says that Super Tempo is compatible, I tried many different things and I couldn't get it to load on my Switch. And then I went ahead, I asked on the thread here, 2 days ago actually, and no one's responded to me yet. This used to be a really active thread. It still is the go-to place to ask about Saturn emulation and Saturn advice, but from everything I can tell, this is not true. Super Tempo is not working. So you know what? We're going to go ahead and go with a different game. I want to do Burning Rangers. So Burning, BUR. Here we are. And actually, we can see that we have recommended overclock and a link to the config file. So let's go ahead and get that. This config file will be very, very handy. I kind of hate GitHub, to be honest, but I don't know why people love it. Kind of a pain in the butt. Oh, here we are. So the way we have to do this, select it all. GitHub, there are some options to like download file and get file, but the best way to do it is to copy. And I am going to make a new text document, and I want to paste it into there. Ta-da! Okay, good. I'm going to make sure there's no extra lines at the bottom, nothing extra at the top. File, save. And we are going to completely rename this. Rename everything, even the config.ini. Enter. Yep. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do another run of our Ultimate Hack script. It's been a few days since I've done this, so likely it will need to update. Let it do its thing. Yes, let's do an update. Yep, okay, that's good. Full log too. And remember, 6 and 16. Saturn injection. Do you want to update this part of the script? Yes. Just in case there's been any changes. This used to be updated on a constant basis when all this stuff was new, but now not so much. Hit start injection. And since I already have my Cotton 2 injection, well, NSP decompiled for this script, we don't need to enter it again. We just have to select it. So 1. And so I chose English, but for some reason this part always asks in French. It's just asking you for the Q file for the ISO. So I have here, as you can see, it still wants to do tempo. We're not doing that. We're going to go burning rangers, burning.q. Okay. And now it's asking me for my prod.keys. Okay. Let's go ahead and give it that. And actually, I forgot to copy over the... Okay, I want the prod.keys. All right. Now, this icon file, I'm going to have to grab that from my old folder that I have not on my C drive, but on my D drive. It's my old Ultimate. I have a whole bunch of icon files. So now let's go ahead, look down for Burning Rangers. I did not make these. I got them off of GPA temp. Hey, these are already converted in a way, and they're already the correct size and correct format that this script tool will accept. Let's go ahead, and this part's really important because there's a custom INI. Like here, Burning Rangers, do you want to use a custom INI? Yes, we do. So let's go ahead and open this up. Do you want to use a generic INI? That's the default. We don't want to do that. We want our own. So click No. N. Do you want to choose your own INI? Yes. Enter. Okay. Now, so we got to go back. I have the C drive, Ultimate, Burning Rangers, config.ini. That's the one that we just created. Generic wallpaper for the game. Yes, that's okay. You want to use generic credits? Yes, that's okay. Generic player's guide? Yes, that's okay. Texture file? Yes, that's okay. Do you want to choose your own no data? No data. No thanks. N. Okay, this, just hit enter. Here we are. Now we can do Burning Rangers Saturn Tribute. I name it Saturn Tribute because that's basically the emulator where this comes from COD Tribute. Burning Rangers. And I believe it is Sega, correct me if I'm wrong. And I think this is my 5th attempt, so I'm going to need that 5 hacks. And this one, leave default, enter, enter. Now it wants to know where I want to save these. Let's go ahead, open up C drive, Ultimate, okay. Are you okay with these settings? Yes, and we're going to let it go. This shouldn't take too long. Burning Rangers is a little bigger. Let's take a look at it actually. It is 364 megabytes. That's not too big, but it's still not going to be instant. It's going to take a little bit of time. So we're just going to let this do its thing. If it takes too long, I'll fast forward through this part. Oh, okay, it didn't. You can now install and enjoy your game. I intend to. All right, we're done. Exit. 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 Great. And this part here, we have to do an overclock of 1428. So I have my Switch already plugged in by DVI. So I have access to the actual Switch's drive. Oh, here, and no, let's go. Switch. So DVI is really, really handy. You can use tinfoil or gold leaf to install. I used to always use gold leaf because I found it super reliable. But I want to do micro SD install, and you can just drag your NSP over here. It's super easy. Here's the Burning Rangers we just created. Drag it over, and it says copying on Windows. It says installing on the Switch. Sorry, that's upside down. I don't want to fiddle with the USB cable while it's doing stuff. I'm trying to be super gentle. You actually really shouldn't move it at all. Okay, and I think we're good. So now we're going to hop back over to the Switch, and with any luck, everything should be okay this time. Okay, and we are back on the Switch. And as you can see here, Burning Rangers looks like it's installed properly. So we're just going to let it do its thing. So remember the spreadsheet said that we need to do an overclock of 1428? Yeah, 1428 megahertz. So we're not going to do that quite yet. We're going to wait for it to load into the game, which it looks like it has done. Now, one thing I want to mention about the Switch, it really feels like a system that was made to be portable first and docked second. because there's a lot of instabilities that happen when you try to do things that are in docked mode, such as cheats or overclocking. So we're going to go ahead and do our overclock here, but it might crash. Please don't crash. Docked. Override 1428. And that's all we need to do. We are done. We can start burning Rangers. Alright, look, everything looks great. So we can go ahead, just start our game. And that is how you do an injection for a Sega Saturn game. We have a whole bunch of settings here, like language. You can change it back to English. You can change the button config. Screen settings, anti-aliasing. I do not want that. Just the normal, valid, invalid means off. Wallpaper. I like to do no wallpaper. And here we are, authentic experience.
Got it.
Go ahead, start this up, let it go. Alright, so that's the video. If you have any questions, comments, let me know what you want to see next. Leave them in the comments down below. And thank you for watching. Have a good day.
It's moving into the plant site. Tillis, it's entered sector